Okay, so let's see. I'm not sure if we are able to stream now on YouTube or not. But in this case, I will make a recording to make sure that we have this. Okay. So, welcome everyone. It's so nice to see you. Closer to the end of the summer, I think, for many of us, but not completely yet. Hello to everyone. You can let me know where you are joining us from. I see there are people from South Africa. Wow, amazing. I'm sure that we will have people from the US and Europe, maybe Australia, we'll see. So everyone is welcome here. You know that astrology is something that connects people, and it doesn't matter your nationality, it doesn't matter what your gender is, it doesn't matter what your preferences are. It's something that connects us on a soul level. So that's the beauty, one of the beautiful things about astrology. About today. Today we will talk about astrology of psychological development and evolution. And I have three major focuses. First, I would like to explain to you what is this, like what do we mean when we say psychological development and evolution? What is the purpose? What are the benefits? What are we exploring with this? What can we find with this, and why we would want to do this? So it would be more like teaching part. I also have one concrete recommendation, something I would say pretty simple, and it's very concrete as an advice. If you want to develop more, if you want to grow in whatever way, it could be personally, it could be spiritually, there are no limitations. So I would give you one thing that is always helpful, and honestly, if you really want from me to give you one concrete recommendation, that would be it. So I will share about this recommendation or possibility. And after that, I will also share with you the new trainings, which are starting during September. They are really interesting. They will be deeper than usual. It would be something that I haven't done before. And also, there will be an option for a 500 bonus. So stay with me until the end and you will learn if you are interested about this. So I see some people are sharing with us. Great. New York, Germany. Yes, of course, we have Europe, Portugal, Florida, Philippines, Connecticut. Wonderful. And I'm in Sofia. So also I'm in Europe. What do we mean when we say psychological development and evolution? What I mean here is to be able to define, first of all, the level of development of the person based on their chart. So obviously you can do this for yourself, you can do this for a close person, you can do this for a client, it doesn't matter. The principle is the same. To be able to define where are they on this evolutionary scale. I will try to share with you very briefly part of this. Which are those spiritual development stages, which are related to some of the planets, of course. They are astrology based. And what we can do is we can learn to define the level of the person. It's maybe more accurate to say the level of their soul or something like that. However, this is not just about spiritual stuff. The point here is to understand where are you right now, spiritually, or when it comes to this development and evolution, but also to have the idea, what are you supposed to do? What is the direction for you right now? What do you need to develop? What are the lessons that you need to learn? And I think this has always been important for me. And of course, it's again based on my chart, because in my chart, I have a stellium in Capricorn and another one in Pisces. So I really like to combine those energies in a constructive and creative way. What does it mean? It means to explore the spiritual, this inner knowledge, it's not only astrology, it's also about psychology, it's about development and evolution. But then also to add the Capricorn energy, which means to do something that helps us move in or grow in reality, to have some concrete results, to learn to be happy here and now, not just, to escape into some kind of concepts, theories, but actually to find their practical application or benefit. And this will be also part of the training that we would discuss later. And overall, my perspective, I think that that's the main purpose of astrology. It's to provide the understanding, the insights, the spiritual perspective, but then also there should be something changing in reality. It can be internal, of course, but also it has to be external. In other words, your life should become better. You should live better. You should have more abundance, or whatever your direction is. So by exploring those spiritual evolutionary levels, we can understand from one side spiritually, psychologically, how are we developing and in what way, like what is next for us or for the person whose chart we are exploring, but also on a practical level, like what do you need to do here and now in your life? Obviously, the benefits of that there are no limits. I think that this is the most important knowledge you can find, the knowledge which basically teaches you about yourself. And there are many aspects of this. I'm not going to say that this is like, a quick thing I will teach you in one webinar, you are ready to do it after that. It's a journey to learn how to do it. And maybe later I will talk about this, like what does it take? I hope I will remember to mention this. But also, what is the main perspective here? We can explore this spiritual evolution or scale, which I will share with you in a moment. But then there are also many other things that can help you. For example, one of the things that I'm really interested in is the work of Carl Jung. For me, he is the best psychologist, and who was also an astrologer, by the way. And I think that we can also benefit a lot if we use his work for a better understanding. Now, I will try to present you very briefly without unnecessary information those spiritual levels, which are so important actually. And probably I will try to use the whiteboard. If it works. If not, it's not such a big deal. Yes, whiteboard. Here it is. Okay. I hope you can see it. Actually, you can let me know if you can see the whiteboard. Can someone just let me know in the comments if you can see the whiteboard now? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, perfect. So, those spiritual levels, where do we start? Let's make this our beginning here. This is the starting point, the neutral point. This is always where we begin with. And we can call this level, this is a moon level. This is the moon level. It's actually first moon. You will see a bit later that we have another moon as well. I can't move this, but anyway. We start from the moon level. We call this also the sleeping soul. And actually, most people are on this level of evolution, the moon, the first moon level. Basically, those are people who don't have significant goals. They don't have a motivation to do much or to work for something. Their main priorities are basically survival. On the very first level for the sleeping soul, it's just survival. The basic human needs, mostly the body needs. The maximum is to pursue some kind of comfort. But here we don't have any higher motivation for something big or something significant or something different. So on the first level, the first moon level, the sleeping soul, what we have is just the desire to be able to survive and to live somehow. On a little higher level here, what comes up also as a motivation can be the desire to be like others. Or in other words, not to be or to have less than others. It's not about standing out. It's not about having much more. It's just to be on the level of people around you. And here, what might be a little misleading, we may think that, this can be only on a lower level, but actually it can be on any level. I mean, for example, if in someone's environment, let's say people are very rich, they have, I'm making this up, but let's say they have 3 kids, 2 cars, 2 houses. For someone on this moon level, their goal would be to have pretty much the same. So also to try to have, let's say, 2, 3 kids, 1 house here, 1 there, to have 2 cars. It's like to match the standard of the surrounding environment, not to be less. But again, pay attention. There is no motivation to stand out or to have much more or to achieve much more. It's just you don't want to be behind. So that's also a moon level. When you are trying to match the environment, basically. Here, there are no high values, or there are no special motivations. And actually, one thing I want to clarify here is that none of the levels are negative. And here we are not judging people, we are not criticizing anyone. Keep in mind that no matter on what level you are right now, you have also started from this level, from the sleeping, so then from the moon level, trying to keep up with everyone else in the surrounding area. So we are not judging. This is not something bad. It doesn't mean that those people are stupid or bad also. It's just where they are right now. So that's very briefly about the moon level. After that, and you will see that it gets more and more interesting. Can I? No, I don't want this. This. So after the moon, things are going like this. The next level is Mars. Mars level. What happens on this level is that the person starts to have some kind of conflict or fight with the outside world. They need to separate somehow from others, from the environment. And usually at first this happens within the family. So there could be, for example, some kind of conflicts, or the person may feel like they want to follow their own path, which is different than, for example, what the family is used to, or even what the environment around them is expecting them to do. So when the person starts growing from the moon level, they get to first to the Mars, the first Mars level. And the first Mars level is basically about your own willpower to differentiate from the environment, which very often looks like some form and some type of conflict. That's again, very, very briefly. Here, we don't have huge long-term goals yet. But there is a motivation. There is a motivation to do something different, to do it in another way, to basically develop and express your own willpower. That's the next step. Again, there is much more to describe, but I want to be able to go through the whole cycle. So I'm just giving you the main focuses. After that, now let's put it here. Next, we have Jupiter. After Mars has been developed, which means our own individual willpower, the next level is Jupiter. So here people start focusing on some kind of goal. They have some kind of concrete motivation about something that is important. This thing may change over time. It doesn't mean that, it's one thing during your whole life, or sometimes it might be also. But the point is that here the person is pursuing something. They have like a long-term goal, a long-term motivation. For someone, it may sound like some kind of development, some kind of growth, motivation for success. And here we want to have more than others. If on the moon level, you want to have as much as others have. Again, if you are in a very rich environment, you would want to match this level. So again, it could be about prosperity and abundance, but the focus is that it's as much as others have. On the Jupiter level, you want more of something. It can be something material, It might be something different, of course. There are nuances here, but the person is pursuing something beyond, something more. There is a motivation for some kind of growth and success. Here we can talk about motivation for growth or success. That's again very briefly. And this path is leading us to a pivotal point, which is here. And this pivotal point is called Saturn. Saturn is always a key planet. After we have developed this Jupiter level, we get to the Saturn level. And this is a point of crisis. The Saturn level is a time when we feel some kind of, it may look like rejection from the world. It may feel like failure. It may feel like the world is hostile to you. So in some way, for whatever reason, like the processes might be different, but what happens is that you end up feeling alone. You feel like either it could be feeling like you're betrayed, or others don't understand you, or others are against you. But this leads to a phase of some form of isolation, of course, Saturn. And it's very difficult. It's a time which is supposed to separate you from the environment. You are supposed to stay on your own and allow the process to continue. Obviously, it's very difficult. It's not joyful. We usually, not usually, Saturn in this stage is always also about having some kind of trust issues. During and after this phase, it's difficult for the person to open up and to have trust in others. And again, there could be different events that may lead to this. Obviously, everyone has their own experience, but the essence of this process is that you feel like you are losing everything, or at least what is important for you. You are on your own, no one gets you, and you don't want to interact so much with the outside world. Of course, it doesn't mean that everyone in this phase is becoming like a monk, or, you literally don't interact with other people, or everything is destroyed. It doesn't need to be that extreme, but on an inner level, that's how it feels. That you want to separate from others, you want to keep distance, you don't trust in the same way, you have doubts, and usually there is some kind of loss. So obviously that's like a pivotal turning point in our development. This doesn't last forever, like nothing else, of course. Everything is changing and dynamic. So after that, can I change the color? I can change, not this. Okay, this color. So after that, we continue with another Jupiter phase. Did I spell it correctly? I think so. Yes, another Jupiter. During this first part, and you will see that it will become actually like an 8. But during this first quarter of our 8, we are focused on something external. Here, we haven't developed our personality, our identity, our individuality. So here, if we are on one of those levels here, from the moon, first moon, Mars, or Jupiter, we are oriented on something which is more external, or even if it's not external, it's objectively or somehow defined by other people or the environment. Even if it's, we are on a Jupiter level, so we want to grow, we want prosperity, but somehow we are more oriented on something external, on something which is more objective. The second Jupiter phase, so after the Saturn phase, what we need to develop more is the subjective thinking. So in the first phase here, we need to develop more the objective perspective. So to notice and to learn to interact with the outside world. It looks a little bit, if you're familiar with this, we may also say that it looks a little bit like the first phase of the moon, where we learn to interact with the outside world. After the Saturn phase, we need to develop more something subjective, something internal, like our own thinking, our own perspective. It could be our own philosophy or beliefs. So the focus is more internal. But on the Jupiter level, again, it's about some kind of success, it's about some kind of growth. But the difference is that here, the focus is personal. So we are defining this more. We don't have a strong individuality yet at this phase, but we are in the process of developing it. So that's very important. After that, we have another Mars phase, which is also about doing something, achieving something, or connected to our willpower. But again, here the focus is much more subjective. So it comes more from us, from the inside. And what's important for this, for the green phase, is that we are learning to open up. So here you may still feel the impact of Saturn. So if we are somewhere here in this green phase, it takes time to learn to have some trust in people or to open up. So you can still sense, the echo of Saturn. It's still within you. So we are still somehow closed or cautious, or we are afraid to open up or to do something or to express something. This is an indication that most of the time that we have passed the Saturn phase. When we get here again to what looks like our starting point, this is another moon phase. This is the second moon. On this level, what happens is that we return back to, I would say, the simple things in life. Joy from taking care of others or family. And of course, it's very important to know how to differentiate first and second moon, because there are significant differences. Again, here we are focused on pleasures in life, or, those simple things, or family connections, or other people. But here we are capable of giving. This first moon is more like a child position. The second is more like a nurturing position. And it's like, you start with the simple pleasures in life, first moon. Then you grow, you learn other things. And eventually, at a certain point, you return to this. It's like you are reinventing or refining the joy from life, from the simple things, from, it's very specific. Again, we'll explore this in more details during the training, but it's very different from the first moon. Even though the focus is again on life, on surroundings and those things. Let's continue with another color. Okay, let's pick up blue color, for example. What comes after the second moon? It's like this. Here is the sun. After the second moon, we can start developing or moving in the direction of developing and evolving and getting closer to our sun, which means creativity, which means finding your deepest potential. In Jungian terms, from the Jungian psychology, I would compare this to the process of individuation. If you're familiar with this process of individuation or finding what Jung is calling the self. I'm not sure if finding is the right word, actually. Or you are basically allowing it to unfold and develop yourself, the self, according to the Jungian terms, or the individuation, or in simple words, it's the creative sparkle within you, your very own individuality. It becomes possible for us after the second moon. And this is a time when we also dive deeper into ourselves, but it's not like Saturn. It's not out of fear. It's not because we are offended or hurt by the world, or it's not what motivates us. Here, the process is more about interest. It's more about curiosity, desire for exploration. So here, it's not related to problems. It's something more resourceful. It's when you find, basically you are going on a journey to find yourself, to develop the sun. And in this phase, it's not necessarily obvious for other people what is happening. So this could be a very deep inner process, and it's, again, not necessarily obvious. But the next phase, another color here, not this, this, no, yellow, okay, not good enough. Okay, almost. This second phase is from the sun back to the starting point. This is the phase during which we have already found something within us, some kind of creative potential, something which is personal, something that is unique. It's honestly hard to describe it with words because it's very specific. But you have found it within you, and the next phase is to find the ways to share this with the world. That's the last phase. I think this is the most interesting phase. What or how long does it take? Maybe you are thinking or wondering. We may need many, many lifetimes for each of those phases, especially for the first stage, the sleeping soul. We spend many, many incarnations and lifetimes on this level. After that, we start developing. There isn't like a standard speed everyone is different. It depends on your experiences. If your life is more intense, you may pass faster through phases. And also, of course, it depends on if there is a flow to support you. For example, if you find the environment or someone with a deeper flow who will guide you or who will lead you, you may pass faster through the phases, but you cannot skip a phase. So you can't be on the first moon level and jump to Jupiter, for example, second Jupiter. Not possible. We are moving through those phases in this particular order. But again, the speed may vary. And for people who are part, for example, of some kind of spiritual community, let's say, or again, there is a flow, they can pass faster through those phases. And of course, it depends on the intensity of our life. That's very, very briefly the scale of the different spiritual levels. What happens after that? So after we return to the middle of the 8, it's a deep question. I think that after that, we can begin to learn to interact with the energies of the outer planets in a more constructive way. And again, keep in mind that very, very few people or souls are on this level, which is not surprising, and it's not a bad thing. But the point is that when we understand where are we know what is the next step, what we need to learn next. And I think that's extremely valuable, because if we are trying to follow some kind of social concepts, or, people are supposed to follow this direction, or, I don't know, first you go to school, then you need to go to college, then you need to get married, then work, then retirement, or if we are following someone else's or the social path, we may miss our own direction. So it's very important to find this direction in your chart, and it's completely possible. It's not simple. Again, don't think that when you look at a chart, actually, honestly, sometimes it might be kind of crystal clear. There are charts which are kind of like easy to read, it's clear. For example, this person is on a first Mars level. You just see it. It's obvious. And there are cases when it's not easy to define. You need to explore it. But it's possible, and it's extremely helpful to do this for yourself or for other people, because then you know what's the next thing. And then you stop fighting with yourself and your life. For example, if you understand that you are on the first Mars level and you are having conflicts with your mother during your whole life, you need to understand, first of all, that this has been extremely valuable for you, and to be grateful for this experience, or for the fact that your mother has provoked you or irritated you, or maybe has done something bad. Good or bad, of course, are very unclear, but hypothetically, from your perception, you just look at things differently. You look at yourself and your life differently. So it's extremely helpful to have this inner map and guidance. Okay, if you have any questions about this, I may answer them. This would eliminate the possibility of quantum leaping. What do you mean, Stephanie? If you can, maybe I missed when you have asked or shared this. I'm not sure. about what is that. Is this my concept? No, no, it's not my concept. It has been found by much more experienced, smarter, wiser people. I'm just passing the knowledge, but it's not my, no. I mentioned not being able to skip a step. Yes, you can't. You may pass quickly, hypothetically. Honestly, for most people, it's not possible. But hypothetically, if you are on some kind of deep flow, or there are other, I don't know, like supportive factors, it's possible that you may pass. But yeah, we all need to learn all of those lessons. First from the objective, then to the more subjective, then the Saturn point is key. Saturn is essential here. Is it related to the decans of the planets? No. No, we need to explore the whole chart. We need to learn to look at the whole chart together and to define priorities, focuses, challenging areas, resourceful areas. Basically, we need to analyze the whole chart. It's not like, I can give you like a table, oh, if Venus is in Virgo or in Taurus, then this or that. Or if Mars is in Aries, then it means that it's very well developed. Not necessarily. We need to learn and be able to see the whole chart together, which is the art of astrology. Can we be in 2 or 3 levels at the same time? 1 foot on the moon, 1 on Mars, and yet have the long-term goals. You can be in between. You can be in the process of transitioning from one to the other, but you cannot be in 3 at the same time. And it doesn't mean that nothing else exists for you. It's just not a real area of possibility for you where you can actually go for the moment. For example, if you are in between Moon and Mars, it's not smart to try to jump straight to Jupiter. First, you need to develop Mars, and after you develop it, you can get to Jupiter. Thank you very much for this question. This is very important also. One other nuance. During our current lifetime, it may take us a while to get to the level where we are. This is very, very important. It's possible, let's say that you might be on the sun level. It doesn't mean that right after you were born or in your 20s, you are capable of managing this level. It may take actually a long time, usually not that long, but it may vary for people. But during this lifetime, you may need some time, and by time it may mean years, to get to the level where you actually are. And usually when you are passing the areas or the stages, it happens quicker. And when you get to, it's like the maximum you have reached so far, then the movement slows down. So from what you are asking, it's possible, let's say that you are on the first Jupiter level, generally speaking, but in this lifetime, you are still getting there, which is very normal. That's how it works for all of us. And again, there isn't like universal understanding. For example, at your 40s, you are reaching this current maximum. It may vary, and it also depends on the prediction, how things are unfolding in progressions and transits, but especially progressions. But especially if you have this feeling like you are in between, it's possible that you haven't reached your current maximum yet. Can each planet have a different level? Yes, but that's a different thing. Yes, each planet might be expressed on different levels, absolutely, and that's how it works. But it's just a little bit different. It's not part of this concept or description. But yes, and I think this is also very important to know. Okay, so that's something which is, for me, extremely interesting. It will be part of the new training. I will tell you in a moment about the training. I'm glad you have liked the concept. How can we work with a malefic planet for our highest good? What if our own Mars is in the Pleiades? That's a little bit on the side. It's another question, Kalina. It's not necessarily related to the spiritual levels, but you can work with everything, and you can find a beneficial side of everything in the chart. And my personal perspective and professional perspective actually is that nothing is only good or bad in astrology and in life as well. If we go back to the spiritual 8, from one side you may say that the Saturn phase is bad, but from another side you need this if you want to grow. So at the end, is it really bad or not? It's not easy to say because it's none of those. So yes, you may have difficult indications. My general recommendation is to try to have a positive attitude towards your own chart. And I have reached this level. Honestly, it wasn't difficult for me. I'm not sure why, but I have learned to like everything in my chart, even the difficult aspects. And I have some really difficult aspects and positions, and I love all of them, with the difficulties, with the complications. So one of my recommendations is learn to accept yourself and your chart and to love it for what it is. Only then you will be able to find potential beneficial sides or ways out or something like that. And the other perspective also, as an answer to your question, don't think that your chart is something that happens to you and you have nothing to do with it and nothing depends on you, because that's not the case. Our ability to control our life and what we do with our chart varies. So I'm not saying that everything is possible for everyone. I'm not saying that. But there are levels. And again, it depends on us what we do with this energy. So I also think that this is very important to keep in mind. Okay, that's briefly the concept that we will explore in details. Now, the second thing I promised you, because honestly, for this concept, it may take time to learn how to define the levels, what you're supposed to do, like it's a process. But now I want to share with you something that you can use very, very quickly, and it's extremely important and powerful and helpful. And it's about your lunar nodes. If we are interested in psychological development, personal development, spiritual development, any development or growth, the lunar nodes are always at the top on the list of, important indications to explore. One recommendation, and again, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not sure where do I have this from. Is this something that no, it's not my, again, I learned it from a wise person. But here is the recommendation. If you have problems in your life, something doesn't work, something is problematic, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be about any area, about anything in your life. The one thing that is universal that may help you is to work to focus on your lunar nodes, even if things seem non-related. What does it mean non-related? Let's say that you have relationship issues, any kind of relationship issues, no relationship, bad relationship, whatever, 7th house problem. And let's say that your North lunar node is in 9th house. 9th house is about learning, about expanding your worldview. It could be about travel. It could be about higher perspectives. It seems like it has nothing to do with relationships. But if you focus on your North node, eventually it will help you to balance the other life areas as well, including your problematic 7th house. It doesn't mean that this will happen overnight. Doesn't mean that it would be easy, but especially in the cases, and I have seen many people, many clients like this, generally if you feel stuck, or if you can't define, like, I have one relationship problem, but it feels like nothing really works. In this case, focus on your North node. Very, very quickly, the lunar nodes, they are in opposition always for all of us. The South node is what is related to the past, what we have as a potential, something that we have worked on, that we have built up in the past, and something that is pulling us back also in this lifetime. The South node is not bad. It's not a negative thing. It's not a malefic indication, but it can hold you back. What we need to learn are the lessons of the North node. It's not easy. It could be unfamiliar. It's unknown. We may want to reject this. We don't understand it, whatever. We need to go there. Again, this is a very long topic, so I'm just giving you the most important things that you can use. So find your North node, or maybe you already know where it is, the sign and the house position, and focus on that. How to interpret the lunar node. The sign of your node is showing the type of quality you need to connect to or express or learn. The house position is showing you the life area where this thing needs to happen. Don't mix those. So, for example, if your lunar node is in Capricorn, it doesn't mean that you have to focus on career. The sign is showing the quality, and Capricorn is about, let's say, discipline, responsibility, structure, order in this direction. It's not about career. If your North node is in Capricorn, but let's say in 4th house, it means that actually you should become more disciplined, organized, responsible at home, not at work, in your closest environment, and to create some stable foundation and so on. Like, you can explore it and find more ways to connect those. So the sign position of the node is showing the qualities, and the house is the area. or life areas where this thing should happen. This is one of the main, I would say, most important things when it comes to our development, growth, and evolution. So you can do this. Ernest is saying this, maybe, but I haven't explored this with him. So, but of course, he may agree on the topic as well. Okay, so this is the main information I wanted to share with you. I hope it helps. Now I will share with you what's coming up during September. The new training, which I will be hosting, is on this particular topic, astrology of psychological development and evolution. And the format that I picked is very different. So there will be two modules, two separate modules. You can choose to join one of them or both of them. During or within the first module, we will explore the theory. You will get, first of all, access to my natal astrology course, which is more than 50 hours. It covers the foundation of natal astrology with many examples after every lesson. So it's appropriate for beginners, completely appropriate. And the other part, the main part actually, is that we will have weekly live classes starting from, I think it was 23rd of September. I will check if I'm correct about this, but something like that. Around the 23rd of September, we are starting with weekly live classes. During those live classes, we will focus on the psychological concepts. We will cover the basis of the Jungian psychology. We will expand this understanding of the spiritual levels, the evolution, the development, and we will learn how to connect those. So the astrology indications and how to read this in terms of our development and evolution. Again, I want to remind you that the focus is not just on spiritual concepts and understandings, but finding ways to use this information in our life here and now. So to pursue some kind of practical, real benefits in our life. In other words, Capricorn stuff. So the first module will be focused on natal astrology, spiritual development, psychological astrology, psychological theories, learning how to combine all of those to define the spiritual level and all of those things. Again, weekly live classes for 8 months. The training will be 8 months. The second module is going a bit, we can say deeper, or yes, in a little different direction. It will be focused on prediction. So prediction and practice. We will explore the main astrology techniques for prediction, transits, secondary progressions, solar return charts. But we will try to look at this from the perspective of our development and evolution. So, of course, you will learn the foundations of prediction. So here you don't need experience with prediction. We will start from the basis, from the beginning. But my goal for this is not to give you the cookbook interpretations, like what does it mean if Saturn squares your moon, or I don't know, if your progressed moon is trining your Venus. Of course, you need to know that, but also we will learn how to see the whole picture, like how you can see, let's say, the dynamics for the next 5 years. And I think this is much more valuable. It's not necessarily about, the concrete events. Yes, eventually you may learn to see actual events, but the more important is to find the dynamic and to know where to put your energy, what would be beneficial for you, so that you are not going in a direction which won't work for you, because right now, for example, you don't have a resource for that. So we will explore prediction from this perspective, like what would bring you growth, what would help you to evolve more. And also there will be practice. So in this module, we will practice a lot. It's also 8 months. One of the modules will be on Saturday, the other one will be on Sunday, weekly. For now, we would start with 11 a.m. Eastern time. I suspect that there will be a change in the schedule, but for now, that's how it will be. Everything will be recorded. If you can't join us, no problem. You can watch the recordings. The recordings will be available until the end of 24. So you will have enough time to look at all of the classes or to rewatch them if needed. Again, as I said, you can sign up for one of the modules if it resonates more with you, or you can sign up for both of them if you want. And if you sign up for both of the modules until the end of the month, so until the 31st of August, and you choose the one-time payment option, you will get a special gift from me. The value is $500. And this is a personal exploration of your chart. I have this as a service, which I'm offering, Evolutionary Pathways. This is a whole study of your chart and a 10-year overview of progressions, transits. So basically, this is a map of your chart, your life, and the 10 years ahead. So you get this as a gift. There is a payment plan also available, so you can either pay the full price of the training, or there's a payment plan, I think it was 6 months. So I will share with you the page. If you are interested, you can check the information there. Or you can go to my website. You will find also the page under Learn Astrology menu. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. You can send me an email. You can text me on Telegram. Yes, I'm personally very excited for this because it will be deeper than usual, and we will add many things that will be helpful for us. So of course the natal astrology, but also the psychological perspective, the spiritual perspective, and together with all of this, we will try to find practical ways to use this information. So for me, that's always the point of astrology, to make our lives better. So any questions? If not, then we'll continue another time. Thank you too. All right. Okay, thank you all for joining me. It was my pleasure as usual. And I hope I will see you during September.